Afternoon, Craig.
Good afternoon.
Can I start with a bit of injury news, please, if there is any?
No, we've got more or less a clean bill of health. Of course, we've got some aches and pains still from the weekend's efforts, but no, we're okay.
Nigel mentioned after the game against Leicester that the players struggled a little bit with the stadium being empty. Do you expect that dynamic to change because you're away from home and that you wouldn't normally expect to have the crowd on your or behind you in that game anyway, would you?
No, but I also think it's adjusting to the first game. Of course, we played a couple of friendlies first and behind closed doors, in-house game, but nothing's like the real thing and experiencing that. And I think they'll benefit from that. Going away from home, I think the same scenario will apply.
There's a few things playing in your favour from looking from the outside anyway. I mean, Burnley played last night. They suffered a bad defeat. They're going into the game with less rest time before the match. Do you expect that to have bearing on the contest?
Well, we can always look at it both ways, and as coaches, I think sometimes we look at it as we know that Sean will re-galvanise them and get them up for the game. So it can work both ways, of course. If you had an ideal world, you'd like the rest, because we are playing every 4 or 5 days, and in some cases 3 days. So in an ideal situation, you want the players to get the recoveries, but I'm sure they'll be fine. They'll be well up for the game, knowing what they're about and what they have been about.
Do you have any sympathy for Sean, who you mentioned there? I mean, he's got a difficult predicament. He's tried to get players to agree contract extensions. It's not quite worked out for them yet, whereas yourselves, in contrast, you've got most of yours to see out their future, at least in the short term.
I think we have to worry about ourselves. I know from, obviously, you think about players in those situations and you think about managers in those situations, but we have to make sure that we as a football club, we are really focused on what's right for us. And as you say, thankfully, we've agreed those, but we're aware that it could go the other way as well.
What have you made of the standard of football that you've seen as we approach the week mark since the restart or the game's gotten restarted? What have you made of what you've seen so far and the overall experience?
I think everyone keeps using the word strange, but I think the biggest thing for me is without the fans, it's been slower. It's a slower tempo. There's not the emotion of a tackle that gets the crowd going. It's not an emotion of a ball in the box and you overstep with putting players in the box, etc. So I've noticed such a slower tempo to it. Of course, they're going to have moments to it. You've noticed in a lot of games there's not been many goals early doors, and so the tempo will probably be the biggest factor for me.
What's this period demanded of you as a backroom staff member? I mean, none of you will have experienced what we're going through now. You've obviously got to rotate players. The schedule is heavy. There's a greater risk of injury. It's a lot of things you haven't really had to manage in the past, isn't it?
I think the biggest challenge was at the beginning when you had smaller groups. I think once you went into bigger groups and contact and playing 11v11s, it was back to normal as such. And especially it feels a bit like a pre-season before the start of the season, especially playing behind closed doors. So in one respect, it's new for us and it's new challenges as it is for the players, but it's something that we as coaching staff as well are getting used to.
I watched the game last night between City and Burnley. What did you make of that White Lives Matter banner that flew over the stadium last night? How disappointing was that, given everything that's been discussed in the game in the last 10 to 14 days?
I didn't see the game, but obviously I know of the banner. I think you used the word disappointing there, and that's the biggest thing. I think Burnley themselves and Sean in particular and Ben Mee came out and said the words that they've said and conducted themselves very, very well, in my opinion. But also it's most important that we do concentrate on the players, and the players have been a massive voice, and their actions have spoke, from taking the one knee. But let's not detract away from the good work that's going on as well.
I was asking about, finally for me, Neil Warnock returning to the game as a manager. It must have been about the 8th time he's come out of retirement now in his career. I mean, what's your reaction, first of all?
Training for, where's he gone?
He's gone to Middlesbrough.
Right, okay, news to me.
Just of
course.
Yeah, I mean, your reaction, first of all, but can you see yourself being involved in the game in your 70s?
Where am I now, 57? I'd like to think so, but as you say, you see us with Roy as well, and now Neil. I think they have this drive, and I think you have to take the hat off to the people of that age, and the drive that they show and the willingness to keep going. And good luck to him.
Thank you.
Okay, Joe.
Okay, hi Craig.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah. I imagine that you're probably feeling fairly confident at the moment. Obviously, having a brilliant comeback goal against Leicester. Now you're about to play a team that's just lost 5-0. How is the spirit and the confidence of the team at the moment?
The spirit has always been good. I think when you concede a goal in the latter stages, as we did against Leicester, to lose the game would have been a massive disappointment. But to win it, to draw it, and to score the way that we did, obviously it gives a boost. But we don't get carried away because, I've said before that with Burnley losing as they did in the manner and the scoreline, we know how Sean will motivate his players. And history says that Burnley, they are where they are for a reason. So we don't take them for granted. We know it's going to be a real tough encounter, but one that our lads are looking forward to. And not only that, we'll be ready for the challenge, really.
They are also missing a number of key players, Burnley. So with that, they're probably feeling rather depleted at the moment. How do you sort of take that opportunity, kick them while they're down, if you might say?
No, I think it's we give them the due respect they deserve because of where they are in the table. Yes, they are a few players down, but they've still got their first 11, 12 are good players, and whether they get a few back, we don't know that yet. And so we'll pay them the due respects that they deserve.
Okay, and to that end, do you think that it's likely we'll see some very different lineups during the course of this period, even for yourself, due to the inconsistency in fitness of some of the players? Danny Welbeck, Troy Deeney, they've been spoken about. They weren't looking too great in the first game. Probably need a bit of time, I guess.
Yeah, I think there will be rotation of squads. I think the bigger squads, and we saw Man City make 8 changes last night. We haven't all got that luxury, but I think there will be. I think the closer the games come, and whether it's a Thursday, Sunday, then I think you'll probably see more changes. But in an ideal world, you have to be ready for these. And you saw that we made 5 substitutions on Saturday, and that's what this allows you. It allows you to freshen things up. It allows you to cover for injuries, but also to cover for if you're behind and you want to make 3 changes as we did in one go.
And as you mentioned earlier, you have a full squad of fitness, 2 games a week. It's a tough schedule. Is it quite tough to prepare for these games? There's a lot of unpredictability at the moment.
Yeah, but sometimes that's what makes football the game that it is. And I think we knew at the beginning what it is. It's the 9-game tournament, as it's been mentioned, and we have to make sure that we've got the right recovery strategies in place, which we think we have. We think that the players are ready for this. They know what's required, and actually, it's football games to look forward to. And the players will tell you they'd much rather play than train, ideally in enough recovery time in between, but they'll be ready for each game as and when it comes along.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Click here to subscribe.